In the land of Rafnir, year unknown, nation Volagron, lies old ruins of something greater, now nearly a stripped mountain, with little left of its history where the dwarves once laid. I find myself here in these barren wastes of rock and stone. No coal, iron, or resources to be seen, only traces of what used to be here, ruins. And yet, I persist. I was given information from an old dragon with scales with the color of crimson, that once before, an old time long ago, was a group of dwarves who lived here long ago with a mighty fortress. Though I don't know how much that is true, I must search. While searching for ruins, lay stones shaped with care from the deepest of rocks hid a treasure. Though the treasure was not gold, it was a sword. It seemed cursed from the ages, crafted by the dwarves here long ago, one of the few things that remained, and it had a vow that I would stay here until the end of my days to create a mighty fortress for the dwarves in Volanshar, which in your tongue means the Forgotten Mountains. Welcome to the beginning of Volunjar. How do I start this? It was chaotic. Originally this was supposed to be a random tavern in the middle of a mountain between an area. And one thing led to another. I found a sword, and the sword had a very special engraving, which I think you know about that. So, how do I explain 3 to 2 months worth of stuff? How do I explain that? Like, it's gonna be a chaotic mess because originally I wasn't planning on doing any recordings with Stoneworks. I was just gonna have some fun, and then it dragged me in and I stopped making videos. They're very, very good of me to do that. But I think I can make a balance, hopefully. As you can see, the tavern is an absolute mess because we started a very big digging project. We started off with 4 dwarves. Me, Mabs, Cheeseman, and Stimday. Those were the 4 people who started us off. And not too long, Chunk will come into the mix, but we could talk about his introduction later. After being assassinated by this lovely gentleman who totally doesn't cause us problems throughout the beginning of Volunjar. Oh, look at him and his smug little face. He's already pointing an arrow at me. After that lovely distraction, we made a cheer, as I officially became part of the quote-unquote Grand Council. Doesn't really mean anything, but the only thing it really means is I own a official area within Volagron. It doesn't really help me at all. But at the end of the day, we drinked anyway, because we were young and we didn't know better. At least we had fun at the Prancing Pony. And don't ask me why the first thing I built in this place was a tavern, as you should know very well dwarves love their alcohol. But that's besides the point. We feast and we cheer. For we have hard work ahead, and many trials. Through we will break our bones, we will move a sweat, but we will also drink and be merry. For we are the dwarves of Volanshar, and by the oath of the Dwarven King's sword, I will try to make something of it. The first part. Well, we had to make a good entrance, of course, and we were going to have to do a lot of digging. I didn't have much recording of the digging, so here's a clip of me fucking around. Though it did take a lot of labor, with those stones we were able to amass a small fortune to secure the taxes which plagued us for being under the thumb of another nation. It was more of the lore explanation of why we digged out a home first. Now, let's get to a really annoying part. We were doing most of the digging, and that went without a hitch, and then our glorious friend, Chunk, he will be much more prevalent later in the videos, but for now, we were mostly done with the digging, and a certain somebody, which I will not name, was apparently a dwarf. And my friend Mabs was going all over searching for the dwarves. They mainly found their success in Eldom, but there was a small group which kept themselves underground, hidden from everyone, mining with stone picks instead of a beacon. But besides inefficiencies, they were very insistent that we gave them a beacon temporarily. We didn't trust that after... how do I explain this? There was a war going on, and we were going to help them out because there were dwarves. Now, here is where things get messy. We didn't know how war worked on the server, so we showed up thinking we're going to help out our buddies and defend a place from Horde. But what ended up happening is they didn't show up themselves because they were playing two sides. Until we fussed about it, and then they finally showed up after I started streaming the battle. Yeah, put some confidence in your allies there, buddy. You're doing a great job. Which, kind of pissed us off because now we were fighting. But hey, we weren't using any of our stuff, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And heck, as you can see here, it was a very valuable and a lesson of not trusting everyone. For this is Rafnir, and everyone, or mostly everyone, is going to cause you problems. So, we also learned another valuable lesson of how to defend a city and how we can use set defense ideas for Volanshar. Since we're an underground city, there's really only one entrance in. I think we need to make a second one, and I guess we will, but it will be a lot of hidden entrances within the mountains they have to find. Another thing I've noted is you can't really break blocks. Your best bet is to use ender pearls. Though, through lore, we have learned many things from this, that we should not be trusting of someone who's just because they're a dwarf. Hold on. We learned many things. One very important thing was we can't trust anyone just because they're a dwarf. They are just like any other person, and they would use that. Another thing we learned is the ways of war, and from this, Volanshar will get strong. Each lesson at a time, we could have learned when it was too late, and we would have fallen. This marks the first year of my reign over Volanshar. The digging project is almost done, and many things have happened. Apparently there's more dwarves within Rafnir, scattered as groups all over the place, but still small. And what's this? We got in contact. Now this is interesting. So my friend Mabs, well, they found contact with two groups of dwarves from Eldom. One we have not really talked to, but another one we had a very long conversation. We came upon the ruins of an old dwarven fort. We built a temporary table where we had a meeting with a old dwarven king. And as you can see, the sun is going up and down. That's because we spent a long time sitting there typing to each other within Volanshar, since the guy couldn't appear in a voice call. It was still a fun time as we learned about the history of the dwarves there, and that there might be some trouble afoot for our Eldom brothers, between the colonialism of Rafnir and, well, politics. I won't get into it. I don't know if they're public or not. Another thing they gave us a very valuable lesson is how to build. Or at least in a dwarven style, we took inspiration, taking pictures, multiple, of the dwarven fort. ideas that we would soon incorporate within Volanshar, and put our own twists, as we were also blessed. Though that blessing will come later, we were blessed with the ore, multiple crystals, tons. It was absolutely amazing. 3 geodes right next to each other. This would be a boon indeed. For our ancestors have blessed the earth once before us, and now we have been given that blessing from their sacrifice. A sacrifice we will sure not forget, or else we will earn Volanshar's ire, and we will fall indeed if we forget the past. Though we must move forward if we want to live in a new world. So we continue mining. We build new dwarves herd of Volunjar, and they make it their way here as a place for dwarves to go freely and build, learn. And many other things. We unlocked rare technologies, unlocked the ancient art of moving stone into doors using lava for defense, mining techniques, powers of the Nether Star, and much more. And from there we built homes using crystals of the roof to show our appreciation for the blessings by showing it everywhere proudly as Volanshar. We are the dwarves of the Forgotten Mountains. We are the dwarves of the Forgotten Mountains, and we will not forget the blessings. The irony in the name, of course. I guess we never thought we would make it this far. At the end of the day, we were high up. Very high. But another thing to note is, where did the doors go in the first place? That is an interesting question. For if there was dwarves to begin with, wouldn't people remember how they went away? From our talks back to the Dwarven King, he said something about there might be a purging of dwarves in the past? And other accounts say there were not many dwarves to begin with, that they weren't even from Rafnir, which I believe is true. Though there were a time where dwarves did appear more often. They were separated city-states that eventually got stomped out by bigger nations that grew within Rafnir. And a lot of them fled to Eldom, forming a new kingdom, as most dwarves these days are grown within Eldom. Though what are the lands beyond where the dwarves come from? Shouldn't we hear of them? I don't know. Something about this doesn't feel right. If people got rid of them, who? It seems like people have forgotten many histories, and don't remember the hatred of the dwarves in the first place, which is not a bad thing, that is for sure. Anyway, that is not the point. The point is Volunjar is growing. More and more dwarves come every day. People looking for a new life. Heck, some of them are not even dwarves, who live underground like as we do. And we have obstacles, per se. Oh, how roses grow so big and beautiful. A bit of a bittersweet message coming from a nearby town, seeking more problematic ways of life. As one of our dwarves eventually became an owner of a town, though they have not forgotten their duty to Volanshar. They tend to forget every now and then, as the burdens of running a place, especially when it's not just about dwarves, is numerous. On a less lore note, we'll leave that for the next episode, as I think I have done enough. This is chaotic. This is really chaotic. I don't know if anyone's talked about this, but a catalyst spawned within a city within Volunjar called Blizzard, and it was just, I'm just gonna just put it, it was wrecking us so bad. It killed us so, look at that shit, man, I'm already dead! Anyway, yeah, as you can see, Volunjar has grown. It's doing pretty good. It's not really the point. The point is this catalyst is an absolute nuisance. And you might be thinking, oh, big whoop, it's big, it's tanky, and it one-shots people without armor. That's not the hard part. The hard part is every time a player dies, which is really easy for him to do, he gains health. That's a problem, as it's not a tiny amount of health for his health bar. And it's not like the guy has 2 phases. This is the second phase we're dealing with right here. This guy's an absolute menace. Anyway, let me know how the video goes. If you like the video, you know, you like, comment, and subscribe. You know the whole shebang. And what did I do good? What did I do wrong? Any tips on fixing the audio and stuff? That can always be appreciated. Maybe some music ideas to use. Heck, maybe suggest a format of how I should put the videos. I'm interested in learning new ways of doing it. This is definitely a change. It's more of a progression from last Stoneworks video, but hey, you're in the rambling side of the you're at the rambling side of the section. If you're still watching to this point, I thank you. Because I guess you watched the video, hooray. Okay, I'll stop being an asshole. Interesting to know. Those dwarves with, outside, lore-wise, we're not friends with them, but, I don't really have a problem with them. They definitely did cause us unnecessary problems, particularly. That was annoying. But and we weren't going to give out a beacon for them to temporarily use, especially when it wasn't even ours. Another thing is he did indeed join the battle, but that was like an hour before, and it was like 15 minutes before the battle started, really. As we kind of just complained about to him because he kind of just fed us to the wolves. And he was like, you're my man, you streaming the battle. Man, that was particularly underhanded. Like, come on, dude. But anyway, I thank you, and have a good day. And if you ever want to be a dwarf of Volunjar, you all have to find me within game. Or at me at Stoneworks. That'll work too. Here, this is what you can do, I guess. Bye!